It's Thursday, November 21st, 2019. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we'll be covering today. Google is joining Facebook and Twitter by announcing some adjustments to their advertising policies ahead of the upcoming political season. We'll walk through what they plan to change. And speaking of change, 5G is going to be revolutionary for all of us, but how will it actually be implemented? John Redinger will join us to talk about how Qualcomm's Snapdragon will make it happen. And we'll also be joined by Ryan Shinatri, the general manager of Topic, a new streaming service from First Look Media that provides curated content for a curious and engaged audience. And Elon Musk is in the news multiple times today. And one of those reasons is because of a SpaceX Starship test that took place this morning. It didn't exactly go according to plan. We'll discuss what it means for their future plans of space exploration and more in today's episode of Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you tech headlines, news, interviews, and discussions. And we are broadcasting live from the Samsung QLED 4K studio. And thanks for joining us. And since we are live, we're broadcasting across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. If you didn't catch all that, well, you're already watching us, so clearly you found somewhere where we were. So hit that subscribe button, share the show. This is interactive. We want to know what your comments are, what you're thinking. So drop those into whatever chat platform you are on. But let's get it started. I'm Greg Nibbler, joined by Adrian Warner. Hello, Adrian.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You are on fire today.
On fire because there is so much to talk about, Adrian.
That's right.
There is so much to cover today. All right, well, let's get going on it. And again, thank you for everybody who's joining us on whatever platform. We do want to see what your comments are. And let's start off with this. I've been seeing a lot of comments about Google Stadia.
Yeah, speaking of on fire.
Yeah. Nice. That was solid. That's going to the best of. All right, so this is it. Here's what's going on with Google Stadia. Now, it rolled out earlier this week. This has been highly anticipated. It's Google's online streaming gaming platform, and it's not rolling out quite so smoothly as they planned. So there's a few different issues that have been going on. One of them being that people weren't getting their actual codes to actually play on the system, but the ones that did get it are finding some issues with their Chromecast Ultra streaming stick, which is one of the things you need in order to play on a television. So much so that they are apparently overheating and just completely stopping to work. So this is part of the issue that's going on with this. And you would think, with all of this planning that for this to get it to roll out, that they would have tested out maybe streaming some games.
Yeah, it does seem like the hardware is just completely not capable of sustaining 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, which is kind of an average, I feel like.
I mean,
it's not like, after marathon sessions it's shutting down. It's like after a couple of hours. And, this is really high, rigorous, even though it is streaming, it still takes a toll on the hardware itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these Chromecast sticks are just heating up, shutting down. People are reporting, apparently on a Reddit thread, that when the game shuts down, they're grabbing it, and it's actually like too hot to the touch.
Like physically hot.
Physically too hot, yeah.
That is a concern when that's one of the main ways that you're supposed to interact with the gaming system. And we've got a couple of articles up right now just talking about how much data it consumes, which it's multiple gigabytes of data just playing these games on 4K streaming, because that's a lot that you're consuming. Even though the processing is supposed to be done through the browser or wherever else, it's still a lot that's happening right there, and certainly an issue for them. I mean, they've got the attention of pretty much every other gaming platform out there that wants to be a part of this. You've got Sony, who's working on some new ways for online streaming gaming. You've got Xbox with xCloud, which sounds like their system is pretty great so far. But then you also have Amazon, who's working on this, and it's possible next year that they could have Twitch integrated with it. So everybody's coming for it.
Yeah, everybody's getting in the game, and Google's really kind of the first person or the first group to go out there and really pave the way. But it does seem like they're having a lot of issues. And part of the problem, too, with these Chromecast devices is people who have really outdated versions, and it just can't handle, like, those versions are not getting updated to handle Google Stadia.
Yeah, I mean, let us know what you think about this and whatever platform you're on. We do want to hear your comments on that. But that is some of the issues. We just want to report on some of that. We've got a full write-up at Digital Trends covering everything that's going on with it. But you can check all the details out right there about Google Stadia. Continuing on, let's talk about Google one more time. This has to do with a different side of things. It has to do with political advertising. Now, we've seen Facebook and Twitter make different announcements about how they're going to handle it. Twitter is just saying we're not going to do it. Facebook has made their announcements about how they're going to handle it. Now, Google is saying some more things about their system. And political advertising is a huge dollar amount.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dollars that come into these
Huge
services.
dollar, huge hot topic issue right now, and Google is rolling out a new policy on how they're actually going to handle these political advertisements leading up to the 2020 election and how they're going to be targeting users for those advertisements. So they're going to restrict targeting to general categories only, so people's age, gender, and zip code. People are still going to be able to be targeted contextually, so if you're reading about the economy and then you get ads that are centered around the economy, that's still allowed, but people can no longer be targeted based on political leanings or online activity or their voting history, which is public.
Well, I think overall, I think that's a good policy to put in place because, right, that's one of the issues that we've talked about ad nauseum. Like, no matter what the platform is, where if somebody's in a certain ecosystem, if all you read is a certain news site, and then you just get ads that are, completely around everything that you read, you're not going to be seeing anything new. It's going to be very insular as far as what you're going to be reading. And I think broadening that out a little bit probably is a good move in the long run, but how this is actually going to be implemented, that's going to be another question.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how it actually works out. It's meant to combat people targeting certain groups to change or sway maybe their beliefs, kind of put them in that insular bubble essentially. So hopefully this will prevent a little bit of that specific targeting on behalf of those political groups, and the targeting will only be coming from place like where you are physically in the country or something like that.
Yeah, so at least restricting some of it. Now, this is something and that's what they made yesterday. These policies are going to start rolling out on December 3rd, so it's going to be a couple of weeks. We'll start to see this roll out where that's going to be their policy for advertisers. They also said they're going to take a bigger stance on deep fakes, so they're going to attempt to thwart some of that, which, in case you've kind of forgot about deep fakes, it's going to be an issue leading into this political season, leading into the next, at least the U.S. election. It's already shown up in the UK elections that are going on for prime minister because it wasn't necessarily something that people were believing, but they did a demonstration where they had the two different candidates speaking and endorsing the other one in a deep fake, and that technology—
That's terrifying.
It is. I mean, and that tech is advancing so quickly. The ability to do that, some of that stuff. I mean, just look up some of the Bill Hader videos. If you've never seen them, watch some of those for the deepfake videos. They are so good.
They're really good.
So yeah, it's something that
He's very good at impressions.
He's very good at impressions, and then the person that did the renderings on them were really good too. It's the best combo. But yeah, it's something to be concerned with. So Google said that they're going to be taking some steps to try to mitigate some of that. Yeah, it's a lot to be concerned with, coming up.
Okay.
We all know what happened in 2016. However you want to, I'm not talking about any political leanings, but
Right.
there was influence on our elections, from all sorts of places.
It's good to see these giant advertisers. Google is responsible for so much ad traffic on the web, and it's good to see them taking it seriously.
Yeah, and transparency is very, very important. So I guess the bottom line is encouraging these tech companies to do that is very important. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction. At least they're publicly saying this. So we'll see where it goes from there. But you can read more about it at digitaltrends.com.
Well, moving on to other deep fakes, let's
Yes.
say Snapchat, I almost said Snapdragon, that's coming up soon, but Snapchat has released a new AR aging lens, so you can effectively go from baby to old person in just one filter.
This is the newest one. It's called Time Machine from Snapchat, and it's a definite push to try to go viral.
Definitely.
I mean, they're not even really making that a secret. The last time that they've done some of these different lenses, it pushes so many people to Snapchat just to get that. And then there's a couple of things with it. So yeah, there's an example of what the Time Machine is. But on Snapchat's side of things, people are taking this and then posting it on other platforms, and
Right.
they don't necessarily care.
Yeah.
They're okay with that because
okay with
it's
that.
somebody going there and using their platform to begin with.
Yeah, and it's noted that people aren't really going to other platforms to use their filters, so they're going to Snapchat specifically for the filter, taking it to other places like TikTok or Instagram or whatnot. So like you said, Snapchat's not super concerned about this.
Yeah,
it's okay. They're just kind of trying to keep up with the biggest hit.
Yeah, they said during their 2019 earnings call was that they got 7 to 9 million of their most recent users came to the platform because of their AR filters. And Snap has made no secret they are very heavily invested in these augmented reality features. We actually talked to one of their designers, I think it was yesterday on the show on Digital Trends Live, talking about that. Their augmented reality is a big push. They've got their spectacles, glasses that they're still putting out there. So there's a third version of those that just came out. But all these filters, even for your phone, they're heavily invested in augmented reality. And as somebody who likes augmented reality, I'm pro that.
But have you tried these filters out? Are you on Snapchat?
No. No, I'm not going to use it.
I think we need to get Greg on Snapchat.
No, I'm on Snapchat, but I have no idea what I've even... Never mind. Don't find me on Snapchat. I don't remember what I posted. But that's what we're talking about with Snapchat. So this is, again, their filter that they're putting out there. It's the time machine one. You're probably going to see about 9 billion posts of this.
This is essentially, another viral success. They're trying to boost those numbers, and we'll see if this really brings in the same amount as that baby filter.
As the baby filter.
As the baby filter.
Things you didn't think you were going to say.
Nope,
today.
didn't think that at all.
So that is, again, you can take a look at that at digitaltrends.com. Let us know what you think. And final thing here for our opening news segment has to do with something that's going to be happening later on today, and it is the unveiling of the Cybertruck from Tesla. This is something Elon Musk actually just announced that they were going to unveil it a couple of weeks ago. There it is. He's posting about it today. He's heavily investing in the theme that it's November 2019, which is when Blade Runner takes place.
I love this rugged text on the image.
Rugged text. I didn't even think about the text. Yeah, it's solid. So the Blade Runner theme is something they're playing in. They've been talking about this for a while too with with the futuristic idea of what the Tesla Cyber pickup truck is going to be. I mean, just Cybertruck alone.
Cybertruck is a cool word.
It's solid.
It's very solid.
I mean, I love it. So there's Cybertruck, but one of the things that they've teased about it as far as what it's going to perform wise, it's going to have, they're saying maybe up to 6 passengers.
Yeah, it's going to have between 400 and 500 miles of driving range, which is, let's see. So the standard Model S and Model 3 probably get around 250, maybe 400, 300. So yeah, this is quite a far range. So probably quite a hefty battery or series of batteries.
Yeah, they're saying that, and this is all hints because there's no real information other than what he's hinted at. And if you follow Elon Musk, some of the stuff comes true, some of it is you never know what's going to happen with it. But things he's hinted at in the past were that it's going to be big enough that it can hold a really massive battery, and that's where you could get that long running time, which I think for anybody who owns a pickup truck now, that's going to be a big concern, is how long can you run it.
Right. And I mean, like, people who are owning trucks are going to more rural places or, going slightly further outside of the city where there aren't charging stations readily available. So they want it to have that long-lasting range. And they've hinted at the size, too. It's going to be pretty big, comparable to, like, the Ford F-150, the Ram 1500, Chevrolet Silverado. So those are really big.
Yeah.
Those are big trucks. I don't know how to get more. I don't know how to get more exact than that. I'm not a truck owner.
You nailed it. That's what it is.
I nailed it.
So yeah, that's what we're gonna get to see tonight, and we will be streaming that live here through Digital Trends platform. So it's at 8 p.m. Pacific. Tonight is when they're going to unveil it. They always do their stuff at night. I don't know why, but that's just when Elon does it.
Because it's cooler. And I mean, neon shows up better at night.
There it is.
If this is Blade Runner
with some neon colors, I am fully on board with this.
So again, 8 p.m. tonight from their design studio in Hawthorne, California.
I hope there's an eagle on the hood. But anyway, that's the Cybertruck. That's going to be unveiled tonight, so you can take a look at that and follow along at digitaltrends.com. We need to go to a break. We've got a lot coming up here on the show, but first, thank you, Adrienne.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed, and we'll stay up to date with all the news that's going on in tech at digitaltrends.com. Coming up next, we're going to have Caleb Dennison in our AV room talking about the ultimate gaming setup. So he's going to be walking us through what he pictures as the ultimate gaming setup. I hear he may even have somebody in there helping him, but we will have that coming up next. So stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
And welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. That way you get the notifications when we do go live. And we're here in our Portland studio. But right now, I'm going to toss it over to our AV room where Caleb Dennison, our senior editor, is standing by to talk about the ultimate gaming package and what he has put together. So Caleb, handing it off to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Greg. I am standing in what has become the most distracting room at Digital Trends headquarters. Normally, this is our home theater space. You might notice it looks a little bit different right now. And that's because we have partnered up with Samsung to create the ultimate gaming setup. Now, I know gaming's not seasonal. People play all year long, but the holidays are coming up. A lot of gifts are being purchased and some new games coming out that are very exciting. Also, you just have some time to sit down and relax and do some gaming. And if you're going to do that, why not do it with the ultimate gaming system? So we're going to run through that. I'm going to need some help, though. So my friend Hanif is going to come in. What's up, Hanif?
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Resident gaming extraordinaire. I got to do the talking, so he's going to do the gaming for me. Now, this system is built of a bunch of different components, but I think the most exciting, certainly the most visible one, would be the TV. So let's start there. This gorgeous thing is the Samsung Q90R. It's their top-of-the-line 4K HDR TV, and it has been, over the last couple of years, optimized for gaming. So let's step back. A couple of CESs ago, we learned that Samsung partnered up with Xbox to make their TVs more gaming friendly. At the time, it wasn't really clear how they were going to go about doing that. But the Samsung Q90R fleshes all of that out. So you know that input lag, low input lag, is super important for gaming. You want the least amount of milliseconds between when you hit the fire key and when you actually fire here. Otherwise, it's hard to do well in competitive gaming. So the first move was Samsung reducing the input lag of their televisions to the absolute rock bottom level without sacrificing picture quality. Another facet is auto low latency mode. So historically, you'd have to go into the TV and pick the game setting in order to get that low input lag, but that's no longer the case. The Samsung detects when the Xbox is active and playing a game, and it automatically goes into the game mode. So you don't have to click a bunch of buttons to get there. And I want to make a distinction here. It only does that when you're playing a game with the Xbox. If you're playing a 4K Blu-ray or streaming something with one of the many apps available, it knows the difference. So it will maintain the best picture quality for movies and TV and automatically get you the best input lag and optimized picture quality for gaming. Then there is variable refresh rate, which is kind of a big deal. Through FreeSync, this television can actually work with the Xbox to display the accurate frame rate that the Xbox is spitting out towards the television. This is brand new and it's super critical because it reduces screen tearing as well as the judder that you sometimes get. So whatever it is that the Xbox is wanting you to see, that's exactly what you're seeing up on the television. So auto low latency mode, low input lag, and variable refresh rate with FreeSync, super important to the gaming experience, but so is the picture quality. And in that area, the Q90R is an absolute knockout. 4K HDR gaming on this TV looks fantastic because it is such a superstar TV. It's got exceptionally good black levels. It has extremely high brightness, which is where the HDR really tends to pop. And it's also got full color volume. So the entire palette of colors and the entire brightness range of those colors is completely covered by this TV. One final aspect of this TV that I think is super important is its wide angle capability. So you can step off well to the side of the TV and you still get the good contrast, color, saturation, and HDR brightness potential that the TV offers, which not all TVs can claim to do. For the gaming console, obviously we chose the Xbox One X, as previously mentioned, because of Xbox's tight partnership with Samsung and all the integrated features that you get with it. But there's a number of other reasons as well. First of all, it supports true 4K HDR gaming, and it also offers Dolby Atmos. So if you want object-based surround sound, and there's a number of different ways to get that, the Xbox is going to offer that through the many different games that support it. It's a hardware titan, just in general, because it's got top-of-the-line components inside. It's also a great 4K Blu-ray player as well, so if you want the best quality movie production, that's the way to go. Also, it integrates so well with the Samsung TV that you can actually use Samsung's remote to control the Xbox. Now, you're not going to game with this thing, but if you're just trying to press play on that Blu-ray or navigate the menus or find an app to launch, you can actually use the Samsung remote without having to go and find your Xbox wireless controller. The Xbox One X does come with the standard Xbox One wireless controller, and it's fine. It's done a great job for many, many years, but we wanted to go a little bit premium. So, Hanif, can I borrow that really quick? This here would be the Xbox One Elite Wireless Series 2 controller, and this thing is amazing. Now, at first blush, it looks a lot like the original Xbox wireless controller, but there's some key differences. First of all, you can just feel the difference. It's got a better weight to it. It's a little bit more ergonomic, and I really like this grippy textured material on the outsides, because let's face it, you know, sometimes palm sweats, oh, that's a thing when you're gaming. And this gives you a really good grip on the controller. On the back, you'll notice that we have a number of different paddles. You can customize this thing like 10 ways to Sunday. It's amazing. And also, the feedback that you get from the triggers is, Hanif says that's his probably favorite feature for this particular controller. Also, the paddles I mentioned earlier, as well as the sticks here, can be replaced. There's a number of different accessories that come in the case. And speaking of the case is the charger. So you'll connect power to the case, set this guy down in the case, and it'll charge up. And guess what? A single charge is gonna get you up to 40 hours of gaming. So you don't have to hang it up all the time to get it recharged. Although, know that when you do put it in the case, it's gonna be charging. Now, for sound, a pair of gaming headphones seemed like an obvious choice. But we didn't go with a conventional pair of gaming headphones. We actually went with something that I think is a little bit better. This is the AKG N700 NC M2. Long product name, but it's the NC that's key. We'll get to that in a second. As you can see, these are wireless headphones, which is a great start. You can pair them directly with the television via Bluetooth and get any audio, gaming or otherwise, straight from the TV piped through the headphones. You can also, with the included inline mic cable, connect these directly to your Xbox controller so that you can chat with your friends when you're gaming. And let's face it, you're going to want to talk some smack. So a clear mic is super important, and AKG is in the business, has been for years and years and years, of making excellent microphones and headphones. Now I'm actually going to hand these over to Hanif real quick, and now Hanif is in his own little world, and that's because these are noise canceling headphones. They're actively canceling out any noise around him and locking him into the game audio, which is crucial because sound cues can play a big part in competitive gaming. And that's why I want to get to the sound staging capabilities of these headphones. Hanif commented to me earlier that he could actually hear his enemies creeping up behind him before he could see them. That really gives you an edge. They're super comfortable, so you can wear them for long sessions at a time. They're also built well. The other thing about these AKG headphones is that they just sound great. It's really high quality audio, and it's not locked to just using with the TV. You can take off and take a trip with them, block out the airplane noise. They're just a handy pair of high utility headphones. Now, headphones are great because you can crank them up to full volume and never disturb anyone else in the home. Really handy for late night gaming, right? But you can also go the complete opposite direction and bring sound into the room with the Samsung Dolby Atmos soundbar. Samsung makes a couple of them, and these are great for getting that object-based surround sound in your room. So again, you're still hearing where your enemies are coming from, but also the environment of the game is built around you. It's like a dome of sound over you. And it's just another great way to enjoy the capabilities of this system. The next thing I want to talk to you about is a really cool blend of form, function, and just plain fun. It is the Nano Leaf Canvas, and this is actually just a small version of what's possible with this technology. As you can see, it's cycling through a number of colors right now, but there are actually millions of colors available, and you can lock it down to just one color, so it becomes part of the decor of the room, or we can actually hit a little button here and it'll react to sounds that are happening in the room. Now, it's reacting to the sound of my voice right now, but if we had the game audio going on, it would react to that sound. So in a way, it's visually animating the sounds that are happening in your room, which again, is just a lot of fun. But there is a slightly more scientific aspect to this as well, and that is when you put this behind your television, let's say we just layered the wall with these things, it actually acts as a bias light, which can reduce eye strain. And let's face it, sometimes these gaming sessions, they go on for a while. So anything that you can do to reduce eye strain is gonna be a great idea. All right, Hanif, I hate to say it, man, but it is time for you to bounce. Thanks, I appreciate all the help. Hanif had to go because I have to take up residence in this chair. This is the Secret Lab Titan, and it is built for gaming. Do you really need a gaming chair? Yeah, I think you do. The more you sit on the couch playing games, sit in your easy chair, the more you're assuming poor posture. Ultimately, that's going to lead to back strain or neck strain. This chair is designed to make you feel like an F-16 fighter pilot or like a race car driver. It holds you and it actually helps keep really great posture. There's a lumbar adjustment that will help your lower back. This memory foam pillow is super cush and kind of helps cradle your head. That's going to reduce your neck strain. And then there's tons of other adjustments available. The armrests move up and down. They rotate in and out. You can bring them in tighter or out further if you want to. And the materials on this chair are super, super premium. It's very lush and plush, but it's also resilient. I think the build quality, it's going to last for a long, long time. Obviously, I can fully rotate. It's on casters, so I can move it around if I want to. And it rocks, which is nice, but I think my favorite part is that it fully reclines. And yeah, that was a little bit jarring because I did it too fast, but now I'm super comfortable. I could lay here all day. And you know what? I might just do that. Greg, you got to come check this out, man. This room is fantastic. It's super, super fun. You're going to have to boot me out of this chair. Good luck with that. But yeah, when you're done, come on in here and check it out because this really is the ultimate gaming setup, and I think anyone would be stoked to enjoy this.
I guarantee he's already asleep in that. Just in that amount of time, Caleb has fallen asleep. All right, thank you, Caleb. Seriously, though, that's awesome. So that's our ultimate gaming setup. Take a look at all of that at digitaltrends.com. So every product that we talked about, you can check it all out there. And we've got more coming up on the show. We're going to be talking about 5G in just a little bit. We've got John Redinger who's going to be joining us here on the show. Before that, though, we're going to come back. We've got real news to keep you up to date on what's happening at the box office this weekend with Aaron Keeney and Riley Wynn. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Hi, I'm Erin Keeney.
And I'm Riley Wynn.
And this is Real News, the show that helps you decide what movies deserve your money at the box office this weekend. First up, Tom Hanks takes on the role of our most beloved TV neighbor, Mr. Rogers. Let's take a look at A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
We are trying to give the world positive ways of dealing with their feelings.
Yeah? Like what?
There are many things you can do. You can play all the lowest keys on a piano at the same time. I think the best thing we can do is to let people know that each one of them is precious.
Two-time Oscar winner Tom Hanks plays the beloved and iconic children's show host Fred Rogers. We also have Matthew Rhys from The Americans. You may know him from that. But he plays a journalist who's sent to write a short puff piece on Mr. Rogers that quickly turns into a cover story. But Aaron,
what?
Through this whole process, his life is transformed by Mr. Rogers. I mean, how can it not, right?
Yeah.
Susan Kelechi Watson from This Is Us. She plays the journalist's wife. And then we also have Oscar winner Chris Cooper, who plays his dad. Just to be very clear, this is not a biopic about Mr. Rogers. The movie is very light on his backstory. The subject was already covered in a documentary from last year called Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Yes, I remember that document. You saw that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
an incredible documentary, so I think audiences should check that out as well as this movie. I want to give a quick shout out though to Chris Cooper, a fellow Mizzou alumni. We got to give the shout outs when we can get him. He's incredible. This whole cast is incredible. And yeah, like you said, Sony Pictures developed this film loosely based on a 1998 Esquire magazine article called Can You Say Hero? The film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival just back in September to widespread critical acclaim, and even some of the kind of the prickliest movie critics, you know, those ones that have been doing that their whole career, even those that admitted they were like, they were a little bit worried about the over sentimentality of this film. They said no, it won them over. So they said that they really love this movie. And like you said, Riley, instead of kind of retelling Fred Rogers' kind of backstory, they really wanted to show, make it feel like a grown-up version of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So this is a film from director Marielle Heller. She directed Can You Ever Forgive Me, that excellent Melissa McCarthy film, another one about friendships transforming people's lives. And she said she didn't want to kind of retell the backstory, like you said, but she wanted to make it feel like we were watching a grown-up version of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So she kind of takes us back to that time and place. And the movie really just invites audiences into Rogers' philosophy that adults would be much better off if they remembered what it was like to be a child. I mean, I agree with that for sure. So I think just that the audience response, the critic response so far shows the enduring influence of Fred Rogers.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this movie because Mr. Rogers was a big part of my life growing up. When I was younger, I would go over to my grandparents' house until my parents got home from work, and my grandma and I would watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Yeah, it was really fun. But I'm really excited to kind of learn more about the man, Fred Rogers, through a different lens than I'm used to seeing him. Yeah. And just from watching this trailer, how can you watch it and not help but get all the feels watching Tom Hanks play such a beloved character? Yeah.
I have to say, Riley, that's truly adorable, thinking of you and at your grandparents' house,
you.
watching
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rogers. And I also want to commend you on your cardigan, if no one else has noticed, his beautiful cardigan sweater.
Thank you.
It's on point, really.
Will you be my neighbor?
Yeah. I will. And I want to know, would you bring your grandparents? Are they still around? Could you bring them to this movie?
Yeah, my grandma's still around, yeah.
You should take your grandma to this movie. We should all take our grandmas to this movie. Tom Hanks, like we said, is the best cast for this film. Up next, a dark comedy about a family gathering gone horribly awry. Here's a first look at Knives Out.
Are you baiting me, detective?
Attempting to be thorough so we can figure out the manner of death.
You mean if someone killed him? You think one of us, one of his family, killed him?
Mr. Blanc, I just buried my father who committed suicide. Why are you here?
I suspect foul play. I have eliminated no suspects.
Knives Out is about a wealthy crime novelist who invites his extended and dysfunctional family over to his remote mansion for his 85th birthday. He's doing this in hopes to reunite the whole family and bring them together. But bad news, the day after the big party, he winds up dead. So the police are called into the scene and a master detective as well to investigate his death. And it's not long before everyone in the family becomes a suspect. The cast is led by Daniel Craig as the lead detective. Then we have stars like Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, and the Christopher Plummer as the family patriarch. Chris Evans also stars in this movie, and get this, Aaron.
Yeah.
He said that he really enjoyed this role because he got to play a jerk.
Oh.
It's been so many years of him playing the golden boy,
Yeah.
being Captain America. He finally got to be a jerk, and he was happy about it.
I can imagine. That would be really liberating. Good for him. Well, yeah, like you said, this ensemble cast is just incredible. Knives Out held its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival back in September. The reception has been really positive so far. This is a really fun film. This is from director Ryan Johnson, and it's a really interesting follow-up when I tell you what movie he directed. Does it sound familiar?
I wonder what.
Well, his last film was Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and apparently he shared this project idea that he had with friends over the years, and they were just like, I don't know about this. They were pretty skeptical about it, but Johnson just said he knew he wanted to do it. This was a passion project for him, and he believes that audiences still really want, original stories. He was inspired, he said, by several classic mystery thrillers like Clue, which is the best, Gosford Park, and even Murder on the Orient Express. And there was a modern-day version of Murder on the Orient Express not too long ago, and that was directed by Kenneth Branagh, and it made $300 million worldwide. Yeah, so there is success there. There is a want for these kinds of movies, but the big difference here is that story is famous and from a best-selling author, and Knives Out is the complete opposite of that. So it's totally original, it's offbeat, it's completely aimed at adults. We see that a lot in Hollywood, right? Like we see these writers and directors and telling these tales of, a decade trying to get their project made, and they're like, oh, every door slammed in my face, like no one wanted to make this. Then they direct a big film like Thor or Avengers, or in this case, a Star Wars, and then suddenly their passion projects get the green light. So they kind of prove themselves, to have this box office success, and then they get to do the stories that they really want to tell.
Like you mentioned, this movie is going to be offbeat, it's going to be outrageous, it's going to be way over the top, but I think it'll be over the top funny as well. And with a cast like this, with Toni Collette and all these other heavy hitters, I just can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me too. I bet there was a lot of ad-libbing too on set. Well, Knives Out cuts through theaters November 27th. Up next, a romantic thriller about a first date that takes an unexpected turn. Let's take a look at Queen and Slim.
No.
You failed to execute a turn signal back there.
Oh, my bad.
Step out of the vehicle.
Can I ask why, officer?
No, you may not. Put your hands on your head and get on the ground now.
Are you serious?
Get on the ground!
Why is he under arrest?
Get back in the car!
I am an attorney.
Jill,
I'm reaching for my cell phone.
So Aaron, this movie takes us to Ohio, where a man and a woman are on an uneventful first date together, and suddenly things take a turn for the worse when they get pulled over for a minor traffic violation. The situation soon escalates, and the man ends up taking the police officer's gun and shooting him in self-defense. The pair, Slim and Queen, a Costco employee and a criminal defense lawyer, are now labeled as cop killers by the media. They feel that they have no choice but to go on the run and evade the law. When a video of the incident goes viral, the unwitting outlaws are now symbols of terror, trauma, pain, and grief for people across America. Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out and Jodie Turner-Smith in her first starring film role. They play the couple on the run. Then we have Chloe Sevigny from Big Love and The Act. And I say, hey-oh. Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers is in this movie as well, with Bokeem Woodbine and India Moore rounding out the cast.
This film had its world premiere at AFI in New York just last week, and the screenplay is by the incredible Emmy-winning writer Lena Waithe. It's from a story by her and best-selling author James Fry, who wrote A Million Little Pieces. That probably sounds familiar. It's the featured directorial debut for Melina Matsoukas. Now, Matsoukas is incredible and known very well in the video music world. She's already a 2-time Grammy winner and a 4-time MTV Video Music Awards winner. And you know her work from, say, Rihanna's We Found Love music video and Beyonce's Formation music video. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Who could forget that one? Well, she says one of her biggest reasons for making the film was Sandra Bland. Of course, we all remember her. She was an African-American woman who was pulled over in a traffic stop, and she died in jail just 3 days later. This was back in 2015. And Bland became a symbol of the Black Lives Matter movement. Matsoukas said she watched this video of Miss Bland being pulled over, and she saw so much of herself in that experience, so she wanted to tell a story that resonated with people about this.
I'm excited to see this film for a few reasons. Number one, Daniel Kaluuya. He was phenomenal in Get Out.
Yes, he was.
Cannot wait to see his performance in this movie, but then also the way they shot this movie. There's not a lot of cutaways. It's a lot of long shots. You feel like you're actually in the car with the couple. Feel like you're on this, evading the cops and, fleeing the scene with this couple. But then also, I feel like this is a really unique story. It seems like a lot of movies nowadays are variations of older ideas. And this one seems just really, truly unique. And I think it'll be thought-provoking for people as well, considering the way law enforcement is perceived in America right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that kind of feeling like we're in the car with them. That will add to the drama of it for sure. Well, it is a unique story, but certainly a timely story, and I think this will resonate with a lot of people. Queen and Slim heads to theaters November 27th.
If you're going to see one movie this weekend, make it a beautiful day in the neighborhood. You can get your tickets at Fandango.
Thanks for watching Real News. We'll see you right here next week.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. This segment is presented by Qualcomm Technologies. With 5G finally starting to roll out, it is so exciting. We're going to get fast speeds, we're going to get connectivity, we're going to get all-day battery life, but there have been some questions about how it's actually going to be implemented once we actually get this going, and that's why we have John Redinger here with us today to walk through that and have a discussion about it. John, thank you for joining us.
Again, I'm happy to be here.
It is so exciting with 5G, and I want to talk about what you have here on the table. Can you walk us through what we're looking at here right now?
So 5G, everybody's just getting used to 4G. Like, what is that one extra G?
Right.
Like, it's just a letter, but it means so much. So I brought props. I'm gonna illustrate everything here. So we got a couple 5G phones that are out now, that are available, can be bought to enjoy that 5G goodness. So we've got this one for Europe. This is the OnePlus 7 Pro 5G that's using, get a little geeky, it's called Sub 6. This one for the US market, probably a pretty familiar phone, right? It's the Galaxy S10 5G. That's using millimeter wave. Out in the US, I get a little extra surprise for you. Tiny. They say good things come in small packages, right?
Right.
This little guy right here makes all the 5G magic happen. It doesn't look like much, but I think that's kind of the beauty of the engineering. It's a QT M052. I'm going to quiz you on that at the end.
Thank you. Yes,
to make sure you can remember. But that is sort of the chipset that's making all of this and all the 5G goodness happen.
It's amazing how small it is. I mean, just taking a look at
that. I mean,
this powers that much.
Like, this was theoretically impossible like a year ago. Like, this is not going to happen. 5G
Let's see if we can get a shot of that, just to get a comparison here of how tiny that is in your fingers. Like that right there is what's going to power this revolution.
This was something that shouldn't exist, that was theoretically thought to be impossible to exist. And 5G was something that we weren't going to be able to get, at least in the way it was being conceived. And the problems got solved.
Well, with this kind of chipset and this, with 5G coming, one of the big things that everybody's excited about is speed. Speed. So what kind of speeds are we actually talking about, and what can that actually do for our information and devices?
Okay, so I'm guessing the phone in your pocket is an LTE phone, right? It's 4G, it's peak LTE, and I run a lot of speed tests. Everywhere I go, so I came to Portland to do this, I did a speed test first thing I got here. And I'm lucky if I can get 100 megabits a second, right?
Yeah.
You're like, this is the place to be. I'm never moving from this exact spot. So with 5G, we're seeing real-world tests of a gigabit down. That's like the fastest home that you can have. So now you can talk about downloading a movie in seconds.
Right.
If you're binge watching a new show, downloading the entire series, and again, literally seconds, backing up a lifetime of photos in seconds. And also opens up like new stuff. So computers, tablets can have another level of connectivity. There's something new called XR. It's kind of a combo of VR and augmented reality, that those things can now be untethered. So the potential for 5G is really paradigm shifting. Well, 4G was a really big deal. It was faster than 3G, but it didn't let you do these kind of crazy downloads that people are used to at home. Now just from your phone.
Yeah, getting to the point where 100 megabytes per second is super slow. I mean,
Slow.
just that idea is just so great. Well, one of the things though that you just brought up though is, as a lot of people are still on LTE, and as 5G rolls out, as the infrastructure rolls out, we're still going to need to connect back and forth.
Absolutely.
Depending on where you are. So how can this chipset, how can they handle these?
So Qualcomm's done an amazing job about building sort of the Snapdragon chipset that can use all the different technologies available.
Okay.
So gigabit LTE is a really big deal. And again, I told you I'm going to get a little bit nerdy.
Get nerdy.
You can't see it, but it's going to be everywhere. It's almost everywhere, and that's kind of the fallback. So 5G is great when you need it, but it's not everywhere yet. So you're still going to get these crazy fast speeds with gigabit LTE, which is faster than traditional, regular LTE, and it supports all different networks. No matter where you go, you'll always have sort of the fastest that's available where you are.
That's great. So that instant way to just connect to it.
It's your phone, it's your tablet. You want it to be fast, and you want to have the best technology that's available. So 5G is rolling out nationwide. We're not there yet. So you'll have access to gigabit LTE, you'll have access to 5G, sort of wherever you are, you can have the fastest that's available.
Well, I'm looking at it from that standpoint too, of switching back and forth like that. What about signal strength? Will that be something to be considered?
That's a huge deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've everybody looking at their phone, you get an elevator and you see it die, and you're like, yeah,
the worst.
I didn't finish downloading my show. So the cool thing again about the chipset and what Snapdragon and Qualcomm have done is they're utilizing a bunch of different technologies. So it's millimeter wave, it's sub-6, it's gigabit LTE, it's everything. So that no matter where you are, you're always going to be able to get some sort of service. If there's a signal available where you are, this will find it, this will use it, this will make sure that your sort of stream or phone call, whatever you're doing, is uninterrupted.
Perfect. That is exactly what I think we all want.
That's what everybody needs, right? Yeah. Like, if you're talking about a new technology, it's got to work.
Yeah.
And it's got to always work. And I think most importantly, it's got to make sure your phone is going to have juice throughout the whole day.
So another great advantage of this. Something else, and I was thinking about this too just the other day, travel a lot. And traveling, sometimes it depends on where you are. If you're going worldwide, depending on where you're going, connectivity as you move throughout your day is always an issue there as well. So talking about it from that stance of moving from place to place, how will that be an issue?
So your phone's obviously, it's only as good as if it works where you are. So I came up from Southern California to Portland. Last month I was in Germany. Like, your phone's got to work wherever you are. And again, the beauty of these tiny little bits of magic is that there's band support for everything. No matter where you are, whether you are in Europe or a different state, you can have access to all of this. So 5G is being rolled out in parts of Europe. It's in Asia, obviously it's being rolled out in the US. So wherever you go, you can get the best that they have available.
What about when it comes to battery life? That's another thing that
Big one.
I feel like, we all have seen that dreaded 5% battery left. You got to run somewhere, try to find somewhere to charge. How can 5G change that?
So again, talking about sort of like the beauty of kind of the magic. So I think the Snapdragon chipset's powered by a lot of technology, but also maybe 5% magic. So that 5% magic that's in there, is going to help obviously with battery life. Your phone has to get through a full day. I don't care how fast your data speeds are. If it's not going to work, then of what use is it? So this will do smart switching. It's more technical. It's like RF smart switching, radio smart switching. It'll put the phone in the most battery efficient mode. It's got power saving modes built in. While your phone might just be in your pocket, your phone is working double time to make sure it is optimizing battery life so that you can get through that full day before you got time to plug in.
Nice. And all-day battery life is something that I think is so great when it comes to this and when it comes to 5G technology and where that's all going.
Yeah, and that's a big one. So there's some misconceptions with 5G. If you're going to use 5G, is my phone going to die after 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Am I not going to be able to get service?
Right.
And each one of those problems, your battery life, your connectivity, are being addressed and have been addressed. People can just use their phone and stop thinking unless they want to about the technology, plus magic. That's kind of making it all work.
That is the ultimate goal, not to have to think about what your phone is doing. It just does it for you.
Yeah, if you have to start thinking about battery life or when can I charge or when I have access to a quick charger or if I need to travel, is my phone going to work, then the phone becomes less useful.
Right.
And so making sure that your device is useful and will last are obviously super important to any sort of new technology rollout.
Awesome. Well, John, I want to say thank you so much for coming in here and
explaining
this and walking through this. This is why 5G is so exciting. Of all of these things that we're going to be able to do as this rolls out, and that is what's going to be powering it. So it's really, really cool.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. And again, this is Digital Trends Live, and we want to thank everybody who's joining us wherever you are watching. We broadcast live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and we're going to take a break. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button wherever you are watching. That way you get the notifications when we go live. And right now, we are actually going to be heading to our New York studio where Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief, is standing by with Ryan Shinatri, who is the general manager of a new streaming service called Topic. Really interesting platform. We're going to discuss that, what they're doing, streaming television in general. So let's head to New York right now. Jeremy, I hand it to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Greg. A pleasure to be here as always. Good morning, everyone. We are joined today by a fantastic guest, Ryan Shinatri. Shinatri? Am I saying that right?
I think close enough.
Close enough, doing my best here. Who just this morning pressed the OK button, the launch button, on a brand new property called Topic from First Look Media, the people that brought you The Intercept, powered by eBay founder
Pierre Omidyar.
Pierre Omidyar, thank you. Got lost in the name there. Congratulations on the big launch.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't press the button myself, but I'm excited.
Was there an actual button? Is there a button that somebody says?
There was a button, yeah. Push everything live. So.
I noticed it this morning because I was on the site 11:30 or so this morning, and then at 12:30 or so, all of a sudden it looks completely different.
Yep, that's what happened.
How does it feel to finally launch?
It's amazing. I mean, it's been a crazy year for us to get to this point, but to have it out in the world now and take the next step is just incredible. So
why don't you walk our viewers through what the new service is?
Sure. So Topic has been around for about 2.5 years now. We have a couple different parts: an entertainment studio that works with film and television and podcasts, and then the direct-to-consumer offer, where we've had a digital magazine. We've done a lot of work in short-form video, and then we've moved that now into a kind of full-on mini streaming service, and it has drama, comedy, documentary, narrative film, discussion shows will be launching, which we can talk about over the next few months, and much more to come. So it's really a great way for us to put the Topic brand out into the world and have that kind of one-to-one relationship, in addition to having film and movies that you can go to the theater and see. You can go to iTunes and listen to our podcasts, and it's just kind of the next extension of how we want to be connected to our audience.
Next phase for First Look Media.
Yeah, it's great.
So, of all the things to get into, though, streaming media seems like a really crowded and difficult market to attack.
Yeah,
so
fair,
what were you guys thinking?
Fair point. We think that there's a lot of room still in this space. Obviously, there's a recent news on many
a little small company you might have heard of, Disney.
Few different small companies wading in, and I think that's fine and wonderful. And I think there's a lot of space even in people's lives for some combination of Disney and Apple and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, and the list goes on. But I think also audiences are craving offers that really speak directly to them, right? That in our case, we want to identify with a state of mind or a sensibility around what you're looking for. You absolutely will likely have Netflix, and that's great. And then at some point, you also are wanting to engage in a set of programming that's highly curated, that has a sort of thread of being entertaining and meaningful and provocative. And we think that there's enough room for people to want to associate with a brand like that. And again,
is it niche? Would you call it a niche streaming service?
We do, but it's not niche in terms of genre, and it's not niche in terms of we think that means that the audience size is necessarily like 5,000 people. Right. I think it's still a large set of to start in the U.S. and Canada, people who would be open to subscribing, and we are playing across genre and across format and across time as well. So
that's great.
Not physical like time, but duration time. Yeah, gross duration is probably better.
Well, niche doesn't necessarily mean small, right? Because
right,
you can be
exactly.
You can be a cooking show, and there's a vast market for something.
Kind of gets interpreted, I think, incorrectly in this conversation to be, that's trying to reach some very, very specific and tiny audience.
So you guys are hardly competing with the Netflixes of the world or Disney.
Absolutely not. We want to be an additional sort of complement to your entertainment life.
So then I have to ask you the question, what's the tolerance level amongst consumers for the various services that are digging into your wallet these days?
I mean, I think we're going to see much more clearly the next few months as it shakes out. I believe that a lot of what gets discussed in the industry, it kind of ignores the consumer, right? We say, Joe and Jane will have 3.2 streaming services, but that's not how Joe and Jane count
for their 1.5 children. Right?
Yeah, and I think if you look at the interestingness of what's happened, right, 50-60% of America has Amazon Prime. That's going to be counted as one in these studies, but no one's giving up Amazon Prime, anytime soon. It seems like. I have Verizon, so I've got Disney Plus now for free. How do I count that? So we think that given all of the moves that the big players are making in terms of distribution deals, there's plenty of room for sort of the more focused services like us when we can prove that we're worth your time. So.
Well, it's going to come down to the content, of course. Having some top-notch, super high-quality content is what's going to sell people. So we've got some exclusive clips we wanted to show off for our viewers here. So we've got a clip from Philharmonia. Mm-hmm. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what the show's all about? Yeah,
we're really excited about that. That's a show that aired initially earlier this year in France and will be the premiere and exclusive home for it in the U.S. and Canada. And it's essentially set in the world of the arts. So it's potentially going to be a three-season-long anthology, starting with this one, which is around an orchestra. And the conductor is killed, and an upstart conductor comes in and sort of shakes things up. And so you have this dual plot line of her integration into the orchestra and what does that mean, and then also dealing with who killed him and how does that run. So
part drama, part murder mystery.
Yeah, and really kind of great thread of music through and that sort of arts and cultural feeling. So for us, that's right at that sweet spot of has a little bit more meaning and connection to what's going on in society and sort of how that's being mirrored back, and then highly entertaining, really engaging show from the first moment you press play.
And then we have another clip, which is from a show called The Miracle. So why don't you walk us through this?
Yeah, likewise, that's another exclusive we have in the U.S., and it is from Wildside, who did The Young Pope and My Brilliant Friend.
I love The Young Pope.
Yeah, and they have I think the new Pope coming out soon.
I like the old Pope,
don't
too.
know why I'm plugging
Popes in
HBO
general.
now, but anyway, The Miracle is in that same feeling and style, and it's this just crazy religious mystery about a statue of Mary that starts crying blood. It's plastic. It's from China. They can't figure out what is happening, and the Prime Minister of Italy, his childhood friend who is a priest, the general. So it's like this intersection of the government, the religious complex are all figuring out how to.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, and Italy's wrestling with, are they going to try to leave the EU? And it's like all these pieces that come together, and it's beautifully shot, and the performances are just, they're outstanding. It's like these incredibly rich and layered characters.
So you're describing a couple of episodic series. Is that going to be the focus, or are there going to be some, regular news shows or daily shows or things like that?
We won't have daily or anything at a regular cadence to start. We may look to that in the future. We will have what we're calling discussion shows. So we're going to launch on December 5th with a show featuring Reza Aslan called Rough Draft. He's the religious scholar and commentator. So he sits down. He's also a TV writer and a creative writer and a novelist and a man of many titles. But in this series, he sits down with notable writers of today, Vic Mensa, the hip-hop star, Melissa Rosenberg, who did Jessica Jones and Dexter and all of the Twilight movies. And they're just incredible conversations with writing at the core, but it can't help move beyond that, given that what Hollywood creates is, again, by extension, a mirror of the world. So that's coming the 5th. And we have a really exciting series from Maria Bamford, the comedian, where she sits down with other comedians and talks about mental health. So obviously a really important topic to everyone generally, but especially in the comedic and acting community right now. And that's sort of a title show for us in the sense that we wanted to give her the space to sit down and actually spend 25, 30 minutes talking about this with people who have, different experiences and exposure to it.
Sounds like a nice blend of the topical as well as the entertaining.
Exactly. They get to kind of talk about the projects they've done, but through the lens of what did it mean to work when I was struggling with whatever issue. We have Tom Arnold. That episode will be the first one, and we'll launch on December 26th. And then we'll have Rachel Bloom after that, and we have 8 more.
Just a suite of stuff coming in, right?
Yeah, it's really exciting. But these are just fun, interesting, and slightly different takes on some of these formats. We're trying to explore how.
So stop me if I'm wrong. This sounds like content that you guys have not created yourself, but licensed.
So it's a wide mixture. We have originals that we're bringing to the market. We have things we are creating and have for the last couple years. We have a large. Basically legacy catalog of things we've made over the past couple of years that will be available in the coming weeks. It's on the website now, but will be in all the apps. And then we're pushing forward into lots of new productions and partnerships.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's great.
Tell me about the audience. Have you got a handle on who you think is going to start subscribing to this?
Yeah, well, it really comes again down to this intersection of people who are highly engaged in entertainment, right? Kind of, crave and watch everything, are looking always for something new, but are connected to the world and care about what's happening in society, care about what's going on, and are looking for their entertainment to both reinforce that, but also to inform it, want shows and series that give them conversation starters, something you can bring up to your friend and be the person who discovered that thing. And we also want to make sure we're really living beyond the sort of coasts and reaching, this mindset which exists across the U.S. and Canada, and that we're taking that into account when we program and create these new series. So it's not really a demographic-led target. It's really more, again, that mindset that we're trying to zero in on and say, hey, if that's how you feel as a person, trust us, you'll like, almost everything in our selection.
What I find interesting about this is many of the biggest streaming services, Netflix and Hulu, started as aggregators, taking other content and providing a venue for it as a streaming place. and they moved slowly and steadily towards being sources for original content.
Right.
And that's been the thing that's really been driving services. I want to get, you mentioned The Young Pope, I want to watch The Young Pope, I got to go subscribe to HBO. I wanted to see The Handmaid's Tale, I know there's one place that I can get that. So it sounds like you guys just dove right in and said, we're going to be the place that has some of that great original content.
It's trying to take advantage of both, because there's so much stuff that gets made in the world, so much incredible programming that doesn't have a home in the US. So we're looking to bring that over and then also fill in where we feel there are opportunities with things we can make and produce here. So I think we have a really strong library of festival-winning and award-winning doc and narrative features, and that sort of forms a really great foundation and alignment with the brand, and then we're kind of filling up from there.
Ryan, tell us where we can get it. How much does it cost? Where can we get it? Give me some details.
You can go to topic.com right now. It is $5.99 a month, and if you want to sign up annually, it is $59.99, so $60. You can save a few pennies, and it can be downloaded on iOS, tvOS, Amazon Fire, Android, and very soon Roku, and also you can play it right in your browser.
Wherever fine streaming services are sold.
Exactly. So.
Well, I love the sound of the miracle. You hooked me on that one, so
yeah.
I'm going to go check it out myself.
Get you logged in.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Ryan. Thank you very much for joining. Congratulations on the big launch.
Thank you.
If you're interested, you heard where you can get it. It's out there. It's available to you today as of exactly 1 hour ago. So brand spanking new. We've got lots more technology coming up right after this short break, so please do stick around. We'll be right back after this.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us wherever you're watching. We do appreciate it. Let's bring you up to date on some more tech headlines. And there is certainly a trending story today that has to do with Elon Musk, but it's not Tesla and the Cybertruck. That's also trending. We're talking about SpaceX and an issue that actually happened this morning with one of their tests. It was caught on camera. Scandal. So we're talking about the Starship Mk1 ship. Now, eventually, this is the one that's going to take, at least according to SpaceX, it's going to take people to Mars, going to take people to the moon, all over the place. And they were doing one of these tests, and it blew up. The top blew off of it. Not necessarily exactly what they were going for. So this took place in Boca Chica, which is where they do a lot of their testing. It's in Texas. And actually, I guess it occurred yesterday is when this actually took place, but the video is just kind of rolling out now. They're doing a lot of testing with the Starship. And again, there's been promises that maybe they would launch later this year or maybe next year. That timeline seems to keep getting pushed. And this is a good showcase of why it should be pushed back a little bit. Elon Musk did respond to it. And there was a question that was proposed to him of, are they going to rebuild this one or just move on to the next version, like the Mk2 or Mk3? And he did say that they are going to move on. They've got some redesigns, probably move on to the Mk3. Which they said is going to be designed a little bit differently. And the bottom line is there's going to be accidents like this, and it's much, much better that this is happening pre-launching and sending people into it. So that's one of the important things. And there it is, kind of a showcase of eventually what this could be like, what the Starship would look like. This is the one where they envision it taking people to Mars. They said eventually they're going to need to, again, eventually, but I mean, it's a lot that's down the line. And I know I keep saying that, but that's where they promise things. And where this would end up going is they need about 100 of them, is what he said, in order to get to Mars and actually set up a colony. So this is the very beginning stages. It's still exciting. Errors like this happen. It's better to find that out during the testing phase. But that is a trending video out there right now. So just bringing you up to date on that. If you see something going on with SpaceX, that is what has happened. So check it out at digitaltrends.com. All right, continuing on with trending stories, and again, bringing you up to date on some other tech headlines and news. We have talked a lot about, well, with SpaceX, talking about some different ways that, going back over here, hello. I'm just, taking you on a journey. That's what we do here at Digital Trends Live. All right, let's talk about internet. So Starlink is something that we hear a lot about. It's their goal to send up thousands of satellites in order to blanket the globe with global broadband internet. Well, there's another company that's been working on a different way of doing that, and that's Project Loon. It comes from Alphabet, Google's parent company, and they want to use balloons to bring the internet to you. And they've been actually implementing this in disaster areas previously. It's a really great, quick way to get access for a lot of people. And now they're going to be launching it in a much bigger capacity in Peru. So they're working with one of Peru's telecom companies to bring internet to the Amazon. This is one of the most remote places in the world, obviously, and connection is very, very difficult. They said that large swaths of that area of the world have even limited access to 3G, let alone anything beyond that. And a lot of places just don't have any access at all. So these balloons go up. They go up to about 12 miles up into the stratosphere, and then they're able to beam internet and beam signals back down. It's a really unique way to do it. Now they call them floating cell towers, and they're able to stabilize using artificial intelligence, using these advanced algorithms to kind of swing it around and keep it in a pattern above an area so it doesn't just blow away. And they can stay up for months at a time. It's a really quick and easy way to get reliable service to remote parts of the world. So Peru, again, this is where they're going to be trying this. They said it'll affect about 200,000 people will be able to get internet access because of these high altitude balloons. And then from there, the other thing that they do consistently and that they've been testing this out is for those disaster areas. So say there's an earthquake or something takes down all the infrastructure in a monsoon or a tidal wave, whatever you want to call it. What happens then is they can go there, they can shoot this up into the air, get access for everybody to these remote locations. So even if somebody can't get there physically, you can still communicate. It's a really great way to do it. And again, an alternative to this global satellite internet, just another way that people are trying to bring connectivity to rural areas, which is a really important issue for a number of reasons. Just bringing people together, getting access to that is important for health reasons, for economic reasons, and just information, being able to connect to the internet. That's a really important thing. So that's something that they're working on. Again, it's called Project Loon, and you can take a look at that at digitaltrends.com. All right, continuing on here with some other news. This one is crazy, and it's real, and I just want to get this to you. So it sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel, and it has to do with putting people into suspended animation. Yeah, what you see on Battlestar Galactica or different shows, where they put somebody in suspended animation to get out to a far place in the galaxy. Of course, now somebody's got to call me out. I can't remember if they actually did it in Battlestar Galactica, but you know what I'm talking about. It's putting somebody in suspended animation so they can travel long distances. Well, we're not quite there yet, but we are to there right now when it comes to saving lives. And this is a test that's being run. It's by the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and it's a report that came out in New Scientists, and it is what they're calling emergency preservation and resuscitation, EPR, that could be used on patients with extremely traumatic injuries. So we're talking about a gunshot wound, or they mentioned gunshots or stabbings where you lose a lot of blood and you could go into cardiac arrest. What they would do, in theory, or well, I guess not even in theory, they've tested this out, is flood the body with this really cold saline solution in place of the blood. Okay, now I'm just going to walk you through what the paper says, and you can read it yourself at Digital Trends. We've got a much more in-depth article. But they would flood the body with that in order to slow it down. They bring the temperature down to about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, your body temperature. And since you can get that cold, it'll slow down what's going on in the brain so the brain doesn't die. And you're essentially stop the heart at that point, and they would do that in order to get them transported to somewhere where they could do further in-depth surgery with them. So they said you could do it for like a couple of hours. Again, this is all stuff that's out in this paper right now. They've tested it on pigs, and they said specifically it's for people who would normally have like a 5% survival rate. Like it's that bad, the damage is that bad, but it would slow them down enough, slow that decay down enough that they could get them somewhere to conduct a surgery. It's really amazing stuff, really amazing surgery. Apparently, they've already tried it on one person so far. That's all we know. We don't know what the success rate was with that. but they're willing to start testing this out some more, going through 2020 to see if this is something that they could actually implement. They did specifically say, one of the scientists, that no, this isn't to get people to Saturn. We're not there yet. This is to save lives of people who would normally be lost in such a traumatic situation. But man, that is pretty crazy technology, and that's pretty cool stuff. So you can read about that at digitaltrends.com, suspended animation. All right, we have more technology coming up for you here on the show with some interviews, and we talk a lot about how the intersection of health and technology and how important that is, and some of the different benefits that you can get for that. And we're going to be heading to our New York studio where Corey Gaskin's going to be standing by with Sophia Hutchins, who is the founder and CEO of Lumisol. So that's coming up on the show. We're live. Drop in your comments, your questions. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
Apollo 11, your go for separation.
TV is making history again. The groundbreaking Samsung QLED 8K.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us wherever you're watching. We do appreciate it. We broadcast live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, keeping you at the front of technology. And certainly the intersection of health and technology is something that's very important. It can help save lives. It can help improve lives. And there's really a lot of exciting innovations that are going on with that. We're going to be talking about that right now. We're heading to our New York studio where Corey Gaskin is standing by with Sophia Hutchins, who is the founder and CEO of Lumisol, to talk about what they are working on. Very exciting stuff. Corey, I'm going to head it right over to you right now. Take it away.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Yeah, we are here with Sophia Hutchins, CEO and founder of Lumisol. We'll just get right to it. Thanks for being here, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
You're 23. You're a CEO and a founder, right? You're still 23? Okay.
I just turned 23.
You could have fooled us with like how much you're doing right now. We were just talking about your busy schedule just before. So just tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, interesting question. So the long version, the short abbreviated version of that long story is I was a senior in college and I had this idea that I wanted to create this product that had SPF that could seamlessly go over makeup, but also be applicable towards people that don't wear makeup. So predominantly the male market. And I was talking to a couple of female mentors of mine, and I'm just, lamenting over, I can't find the right product to go over my makeup, so what do I do? And they said, well, make it, and these are some of the ingredients you should use, and these are the people you should surround yourself with in order to build a legitimate business out of this.
Sure. So they kind of gave you the people that you needed to know. They kind of showed you the way a little bit there.
Totally. My mentors surrounded me with mentors that today are now on my advisory board or some of my closest and trusted allies and advocates. And
that's lucky. So you've known them for a long time.
I have. Yeah. One of the guys that just signed on to my board, we haven't announced this yet, but I'll announce it here. He is the CMO of Android at Google, and he was the CMO at T-Mobile and just switched over. And he's been one of my best friends for 3 or 4 years. And so getting people like that on my board is so important because they believe in me and they believe in the vision that I have, and they see how the future of consumer-facing health and technology is this huge white space that we're able to capture. And I think everyone that I surround myself with is just super excited about what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that wasn't easy to get to that point. Definitely lucky to have some people that you trust, know for a while, and are, seem to be good at what they do.
Yeah.
But as a woman in the tech entrepreneurial kind of space, I'm sure it was not easy. I was reading the statistic, about 2.2% of entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. It's just so baffling, this stat.
I know. It gets you tongue-tied.
Right, a little bit. In 2018, only 2.2% of women entrepreneurs got funding. And you, as well, have recently now been one of them. But that's a pretty stark fact.
I think I always tell people that going out to get funding from VCs is like dating. And as much as the VC is interviewing me and my idea and my ability to execute as a founder and CEO, I'm really evaluating where their value add is with me and my company and my vision. And so one of the first pitches I gave in Silicon Valley on Sand Hill Road to a firm, I will not say their name, said, say it. One of the partners said to me, you don't really look like you have the lifestyle or the look of a CEO. What makes you think you're going to be a CEO?
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? Bye. Meeting over. Yeah. This is a well-respected partner VC firm. Boy, is he wrong. And so the key was finding an investment partner and partners that did believe in my vision and believed in my ability to be CEO. So Founders Fund was the first, Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, has a fund called Pathfinder for early stage startups. And mine was a seed round. And they were the first ones to put in a term sheet. They put in a term sheet 2 hours after I pitched to them. And this is, to me, the most humbling experience I've ever faced. And I was so excited because the fund really believes in founders. And I just saw that they actually did another seed round of 8.2 million yesterday. They announced it for Veronica Lee for some sleep technology. And I think going to funds like Founders that have so many females working there really go to show you that females are in VC together. Yeah. We know it's such a small community, and females that are writing checks to VCs are really into supporting other female CEOs and founders. So I was blessed to find Founders Fund, and then Greycroft, very similar story.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the company Lumisol.
Yeah.
So details are a little scarce right now, as
Yes.
there's a veil of mystique over it, and it's pretty intriguing. So what can you tell us a little bit about Lumisol's vision?
Yeah. One thing I try to tell everyone on my team is, let's not talk too much until we are 100% ready to go.
Sure.
So we're not launching until April of next year, which is soon.
Yeah.
But really the way I describe this product is we are the future of consumer-facing health and technology products. So what we're doing is we're envisioning a world in which people interact with our first product, SPF, in 10, 15 years from now, 5, 10, 15 years from now. And how is that going to be different than the way people are interacting with SPF today? And we think it's going to be radically different. And we're going to put that to market in 2020 and see that evolve over time. But we're going to expand, of course, beyond SPF into other consumer-facing products that incorporate health and technology. Right. So we're really excited about that, and we keep it mysterious because, there is so much proprietary information and so many trade secrets and so many patents that we're actively pursuing to make sure that we can really make this vision a reality.
Sure.
So that's kind of why we're being a little mysterious.
Of course, as is often the case when you're trying to disrupt an industry in some way.
Yeah.
So from what I do understand, it is a sunscreen-oriented product that is specifically well, it should help with people who want to wear makeup and don't want to have to choose between sunscreen or makeup. And the bottle itself, or the packaging is it, that can tell you what kind of SPF you might need based on where you're at.
So that's pretty much correct. I think the number one area of white space, so first of all, in the United States, there are 4 times as many skin cancer cases than all other cancer cases combined every year. So we truly believe that skin cancer is a public health crisis, a public health epidemic that we really need to tackle. It's our responsibility to tackle it. So how do we tackle it? We tackle it in a way that's super easy for consumers to use, super fun for consumers to use, and also slightly tech educational. So in the first iteration of our product, it's already public that we're calling it Smart Packaging version 1.
Sure.
This smart packaging shifts colors as it is exposed to UV. And because of that, people are going to have UV in their everyday vernacular. And they're going to realize, whoa, I'm being exposed to UV in my office through this window. I should probably reapply. So that's part of it. The business model also drives reapplication as we're a replenishment service. And on top of that, our formula itself is entirely transparent, odorless, and just recently heard from the FDA that we have a 50+ rating on our SPF. So that's really important for us.
All products, well, at this point, will be 50+.
Yes, that's correct.
Very nice. Yeah, so this is definitely sounds like something that could be used for all types of people. Nobody's really going to have an excuse not to use sunscreen if it's odorless, sprays on easily, and tells you when you need to put it on.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you definitely want to move into more, because this is a health and technology company, as it says on the failed website that we have to launch in hopefully April. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think, in general, I don't want to talk about the product portfolio beyond Lumisol 1.0 is what we're calling it, which is that mysteriously veiled object on our landing page where people should go sign up.
Sure.
Shameless plug, right? So the future product portfolio certainly will not remain with just SPF.
Yeah.
We are looking at all consumer-facing technologies or consumer-facing health goods and incorporating technology into them, because do I really believe taking vitamins, for instance, is going to look the same in 5 years from now as it does today? Or taking your prescription drug is going to look the same 5 years from now as it is today? No, just like I don't see SPF being the same as the application process is 5 years from today.
Sure.
So those are the types of consumer-facing goods, for example, that we may venture into as we scale. But certainly public health epidemic number 1 is skin cancer, no doubt, and that's why we're going to market really trying to tackle this in a millennialized way. One of the major talking points that I love to mention is that we believe we are millennializing SPF.
Right.
And that's fundamental to get this younger generation coming up to prevent skin cancer, early aging. We know the ozone is depleting at a more rapid rate, and we feel it's our obligation to give consumers a product they're begging for. Absolutely. And this is that product.
Definitely. People won't have an excuse anymore, for sure.
They better not. Otherwise, I'm coming to find them, and I'm
sure
going to
they'd
spray
love that, actually. They'd be Instagramming it and everything.
Yeah, it's really sexy. We want to make SPF not just millennialized, but sexy, and we want it to be Instagrammable.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge part of our brand positioning is, it's health and tech and it's consumer facing, but it's also sexy.
Yeah.
You want to be
health and technology sexy. Not an easy thing to do,
No,
but an important thing.
It's hugely.
Absolutely. Well, Sophia, as we mentioned, your website, a little thinly veiled, mask of what's happening here. Tell us where we can find out more and when we might be able to.
So you can go to mylumisol.com to sign up to get on our waiting list. We launch April 2020. Follow us in the press. We do a lot of publicity, and then my Instagram as well will link you right to our site in my bio.
Perfect. Sophia, it was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank
Thanks so much.
check out Lumisol, everybody. It's going to disrupt the skin and healthcare industry. Thanks again, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Back to you, Greg.
All right, thank you, Corey. That was a really great interview talking about that intersection of health and technology in different ways that we can help people out. So check all of that out. And we've talked a lot about a lot of technology on the show today. So I want to thank everybody who's joined us here for everything that we've been covering, everything we've been discussing. It's been a really action-packed show. And if you want to find out more about all the topics that we were covering, of course, you can check it all out at digitaltrends.com. Let's give you just a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So we're going to have Riley Wynn, who's going to be down in LA because he went to the premiere of 4 different shows on Echo. So these shows are going to be interactive, which means you get to help make the choices of what's going to happen. So really fascinated about that. So that's going to be on the show tomorrow. We're, of course, going to have Ken Young from Flipboard, who will be in here for Tech Briefs, where we catch you up to date on everything going on during the week in technology. We'll also have Ryan Juanita, who will be here in studio discussing what you should be watching this weekend on Between the Streams. Plus, when you inevitably get online to do some holiday shopping this year, you'll need to be on the lookout for counterfeit goods. We'll be talking to Daniel Shapiro from Redpoints, a company that works with major brands to ensure authenticity. And I can assure you, this is authentic right now. This is Digital Trends Live. We are live every single day, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So hit subscribe, tune in, comment wherever you're consuming the content. We love hearing from you. And for Digital Trends, I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll see you right here tomorrow.